I never thought my own family would use the law against me. I never imagined that the phone call I received on that Tuesday morning would change everything. But when my son-in-law called Child Protective Services claiming I was mentally unstable and dangerous around my grandchildren, he made the biggest mistake of his life. Because what he didn't know was that I had been recording everything for the past 6 months. Every conversation, every insult, every threat. And when that CPS officer arrived at my door, clipboard in hand, ready to investigate me, I smiled and said, "Please, come in. I think you need to see something. Let me tell you how I got there, and why my son-in-law is now the one under investigation." Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. My name is Dorothy Castellan. I'm 68 years old, and until 6 months ago I thought I had the perfect family. My daughter Emma, 38, married a man named Derek 8 years ago. They have 2 children, my precious grandchildren, Olivia who's 6 and Noah who's 4. For years I was the doting grandmother. I babysat 3 times a week. I took the kids to the park, read them bedtime stories, baked cookies with them every Sunday. I was involved, loving, present. I thought Derek appreciated me. He smiled at me. He called me mom. He thanked me for helping with the kids. I believed him. But looking back now, I see the signs I missed. The way Derek would watch me with the kids. His jaw tight. The way he'd interrupt when I was helping Olivia with her homework. The way he'd find excuses to cut my visits short. The kids need to rest. We have plans. Maybe another time. I thought he was just protective. I thought he was just being a good father. I didn't realize he was threatened by me. By my relationship with his children. By the fact that they loved me, ran to me, asked for me. 6 months ago, something shifted. It started small, barely noticeable. Derek would come home from work and his face would tighten when he saw me. He'd make little comments. "Still here, Dorothy? Don't you have your own home? The kids are getting too attached to you." I brushed it off. I thought he was just tired, stressed from work. Nothing personal. Emma would defend me softly. "Dad, don't be like that. Mom is helping us." And Derek would apologize, quickly, insincerely. "Sorry, I didn't mean it that way." But the comments continued. They escalated. Maybe the kids need to learn independence. Maybe they don't need grandma hovering all the time. Maybe you're spoiling them too much. And Emma, my beautiful, intelligent daughter, started to change too. She became quieter. She stopped defending me as much. She started agreeing with Derek. "Maybe you could babysit just twice a week instead of 3 times. Maybe we should have more family time. Just the 4 of us. Maybe the kids do need some space." I remember the exact moment I realized something was seriously wrong. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had picked up the kids from school, brought them back to Emma's house, made them snacks. We were sitting at the kitchen table, Olivia showing me her art project, Noah telling me about his day. They were happy, animated, normal. Then Derek came home early. He walked into the kitchen and his entire demeanor changed. His face went dark. He didn't greet me. He didn't even look at the kids. "Emma," he called upstairs. "Can you come down here?" Emma came down, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "What's wrong?" Derek gestured to me. "I thought we talked about this." Emma looked confused. "About what?" "About your mother being here all the time. I told you I'm not comfortable with it anymore." My stomach dropped. Emma looked at me, then back at Derek. "Derek. She's just helping with the kids. It's fine." "It's not fine," Derek said, his voice hard. "I want her to leave." The kids went silent. Olivia's face fell. Noah looked scared. I stood up slowly. "Derek, if I've done something to upset you, I apologize." He finally looked at me. "You haven't done anything specific, Dorothy. It's just your presence. It's suffocating. The kids need space. We need space. As a family." I felt tears pricking my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of the children. "I understand. I'll go." I gathered my purse, kissed the kids goodbye and walked out. I could hear Olivia crying, "Grandma, don't go." And Derek's sharp voice, "Olivia, enough. Go to your room." I drove home in a daze. What had just happened? What had I done wrong? That night, Emma called me. "Mom, I'm so sorry about Derek. He's just stressed at work." "Emma," I said carefully, "this isn't about work stress. He doesn't want me around the kids." Emma was silent for a long moment. Then, quietly, He feels like you're taking over, like they listen to you more than us. That's not true, I said. I follow your rules exactly. I defer to you on everything. I know, Emma said, and she sounded tired. So tired. But Derek doesn't see it that way. He sees it as competition. Competition? I repeated, shocked. Emma, I'm their grandmother. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm just loving them. I know, Mom. I know. But Derek doesn't understand that. To him, everything is about control, about being in charge. Those words stuck with me. Everything is about control. I started paying closer attention after that. When I did see the kids, which became less and less frequent, I watched Derek really watched him, and I saw it. The way he controlled every aspect of their household. The way he made all the decisions, the way Emma would glance at him before answering even simple questions. The way she'd second-guess herself. The way she'd apologize for things that weren't her fault. My daughter had become a shadow of herself. I tried to talk to her about it once. We were alone in her kitchen. I was helping fold laundry, something I'd done 100 times before. Emma, I said gently, are you happy? She looked up startled. What? Of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that? Because you seem different lately, quieter, less, you. She forced a laugh. I'm just busy, Mom. 2 kids, a husband, a house. It's a lot. Is Derek good to you? I asked, watching her face. Her expression closed off immediately. Mom, don't. Derek is fine. He's a good husband and a good father. Stop trying to create problems that don't exist. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands trembled slightly as she folded a towel. I'm not trying to create problems, I said softly. I'm just worried about you. Well, don't be, Emma said, her voice sharp now. I'm fine, we're fine, everything is fine. But it wasn't fine, and deep down she knew it. I knew it, and Derek definitely knew it. I was hurt, confused, but I complied. I reduced my visits. I gave them space. But Derek wasn't satisfied. The comments became accusations. The kids are acting out because you let them do whatever they want. You're undermining our parenting. You're teaching them to disrespect us. None of it was true. I followed Emma and Derek's rules exactly. Bedtime at 8 p.m. No sugar after 6 p.m. Homework before playtime. I respected every boundary they set. And then 4 months ago, Derek dropped the real bomb. Emma and I were sitting in her kitchen. I was helping fold laundry. Derek walked in, didn't even look at me, and said to Emma, "We need to talk about your mother." Emma froze. What about her? Derek crossed his arms. She's becoming a problem. The kids are confused about who's in charge. They listen to her more than us. It's not healthy. I spoke up. Derek, if I've done something wrong, please tell me. I'll fix it. He finally looked at me. His eyes were cold. Dorothy, it's not about one thing. It's about everything. You're too involved. You're too present. You're disrupting our family dynamic. I felt like I'd been slapped. I'm just trying to help. I love my grandchildren. Derek shook his head. That's the problem. You love them too much. You're suffocating them. And us. Emma said nothing. She just looked at her hands. And that's when I realized. Derek had been working on her. Slowly, methodically, turning her against me. Planting seeds of doubt. Making her question my motives. Making her feel like I was a threat instead of a support. I left that day with tears streaming down my face. I drove home in silence. And I made a decision. If Derek was going to push me out of my grandchildren's lives, I needed to protect myself. I needed evidence. I needed proof that I wasn't the problem, that he was. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every interaction with Derek over the past months. Every comment, every look, every moment where Emma had defended him instead of me. And I realized something terrifying. This wasn't going to end with me just seeing the kids less. Derek wanted me gone, completely gone, out of their lives entirely. And he was systematically building a case against me to justify it. The next morning I went to a local electronics store. I felt almost foolish, like a spy in a movie. But I walked up to a young man working there and asked, "Do you sell digital voice recorders?" He showed me several options. I chose a small one, discreet, that could fit in my pocket or purse. "This one has 50 hours of recording capacity," he explained, "and the audio quality is excellent." I bought it, along with a backup device and extra batteries. That afternoon, I sat at my kitchen table with the recorder in front of me. Was I really going to do this? Was I really going to secretly record my own daughter and son-in-law? It felt wrong. It felt invasive. It felt like a betrayal of trust. But then I thought about Olivia's face when Derek told her to go to her room. I thought about Noah asking me when I was coming back. I thought about Emma's hollow voice saying everything is fine when it clearly wasn't. And I pressed record. "This is Dorothy Castellan," I said into the device. "Today is March 15th. I'm beginning to document my interactions with my son-in-law, Derek Morrison, and my daughter, Emma Morrison. I'm doing this because I believe Derek is attempting to remove me from my grandchildren's lives through false accusations and manipulation. This is for my protection and for the truth." I stopped the recording. My hands were shaking, but I felt strangely calm. I was taking control of the narrative. I was protecting myself. So I started recording. Every conversation, every visit, every interaction. I bought a small digital recorder, the kind you can slip into your pocket. I recorded phone calls with Emma. I recorded visits to their house. I recorded Derek's comments, his accusations, his manipulations. I wasn't doing it to be sneaky. I was doing it to protect myself. Because deep down, I knew something worse was coming. I could feel it. The first recording I captured was just 3 days later. Emma had called and surprisingly invited me to dinner. "The kids miss you, Mom. Derek is working late. Come over around 6. I arrived with the recorder in my cardigan pocket, already running. The kids greeted me with screams of joy. "Grandma." They hugged my legs, pulling me inside. Emma looked tired but smiled. "They've been asking for you non-stop." We had a lovely dinner, spaghetti and meatballs. The kids' favorite. I helped Olivia with her spelling words. I read Noah's story. It felt normal. It felt like before. And then, at 8:30 Derek came home. The energy in the house changed immediately. The kids went quiet. Emma tensed. Derek walked into the living room where I was sitting with Noah on my lap, reading. "Dorothy," he said, not bothering with a greeting. "I didn't know you were here." "Emma invited me for dinner," I said carefully. "The kids missed me." Derek's jaw clenched. He looked at Emma. "We talked about this." Emma stood up quickly. "I know. But it's been 2 weeks and the kids were asking." "Emma," Derek cut her off. His voice was sharp. "A word. In the kitchen. Now." They went into the kitchen. I stayed with the kids but the recorder in my pocket caught everything. "I thought we agreed she needs distance." Derek's voice, hard and cold. Emma's voice, pleading. "Derek. She's my mother. The kids love her. What's the harm in one dinner?" "The harm," Derek said, his voice rising slightly, "is that you're undermining me. Again. I told you I don't want her here without my permission." "Your permission?" Emma's voice was smaller now. "She's my mother, and this is my house," Derek shot back. "And my kids. And I'm telling you I don't want her here filling their heads with her ideas, spoiling them, making them think they can do whatever they want." There was silence. Then Emma, barely audible. "Okay, I'm sorry, you're right." Derek's voice softened, but it was still controlling. "I know you love your mother, Em, but she's overbearing. She doesn't respect our boundaries, and the longer you let this go on, the worse it's going to get. Trust me." "I trust you," Emma said, and my heart broke at how defeated she sounded. They came back into the living room. Derek's face was neutral now, pleasant even. "Dorothy, thanks for stopping by, but the kids have school tomorrow, early bedtime." It was 8:35 p.m. Their bedtime was 8:00 p.m., but they were clearly being allowed to stay up because I was there. Derek was kicking me out. I stood up, kissed the kids and left. In my car I sat in the driveway for a moment, shaking, then I pulled out the recorder and stopped it. I had it. I had proof of Derek's control, his manipulation, his lies. And this was just the beginning. And I was right. 2 weeks ago Derek called me. His voice was ice. "Dorothy, Emma and I have made a decision. We think it's best if you take a break from seeing the kids." My heart stopped. "A break? For how long?" "Indefinitely," he said flatly. "Until we feel like the situation has improved." "What situation?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Derek, what have I done?" "It's not about what you've done," he replied. "It's about what you continue to do. You're overbearing, you're controlling, you're creating anxiety in our household." I was crying now. "Please, Derek, please don't do this. Those kids are my world. I'll do anything, I'll change anything. He was silent for a moment, then he said, "There's nothing to change, Dorothy. This is just how it is. Goodbye." He hung up. I sat on my couch staring at my phone, unable to breathe. 2 weeks. 2 weeks without seeing Olivia and Noah. 2 weeks without their hugs, their laughter, their little voices calling me grandma. It was torture. I called Emma every day. She wouldn't answer. I sent texts. No response. I sent letters. Nothing. They had cut me off completely, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what I had done to deserve this. All I knew was that Derek had won. He had successfully removed me from the picture, and Emma had let him. But then this Tuesday morning everything exploded. My doorbell rang at 9 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door and there stood a woman in a dark blazer holding a badge and a clipboard. Behind her was a police officer in full uniform. My stomach dropped. "Dorothy Castellan?" the woman asked. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm Jennifer Martinez from Child Protective Services. This is Officer Daniels. We received a report concerning your interactions with your grandchildren. May we come in?" My legs nearly gave out. CPS. Derek had called CPS on me. He had reported me as a danger to my own grandchildren. I stepped aside, numb. "Of course. Please, come in." They entered my small, tidy living room. Officer Daniels stood by the door observing. Ms. Martinez sat on my couch and opened a file. "Ms. Castellan, we received a report from Derek Morrison, your son-in-law, claiming that you have exhibited unstable behavior around his children. He states that you've made threats, that you've attempted to turn the children against their parents, and that you've shown signs of mental instability. He's requested that we investigate and potentially issue a restraining order to keep you away from the children." I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Threats? Mental instability? Turning the children against them? None of it was true. Not a single word. Ms. Martinez continued. "He provided statements from your daughter as well, corroborating his concerns. He claims you've been harassing them, showing up unannounced, refusing to respect their boundaries." I found my voice. "That's not true. None of that is true." Miss Martinez looked at me with professional sympathy. "Miss Castellan, I understand this is difficult, but we take these reports very seriously. I need to ask you some questions." She went through a list. Had I ever threatened Derek or Emma? No. Had I ever shown aggression toward the children? Never. Had I ever tried to undermine their parenting? Absolutely not. Had I been showing up at their house uninvited? No, they cut off contact 2 weeks ago. Miss Martinez made notes. Officer Daniels watched me carefully. Then Miss Martinez said, "Do you have any evidence to support your version of events? Any documentation, witnesses, anything that might help us understand the situation better?" And that's when I smiled. Not a happy smile. A knowing smile. A smile that said, "You have no idea what you're about to see." "Actually," I said slowly, "I have a lot of evidence. I've been recording every interaction with Derek and Emma for the past 6 months." Miss Martinez looked up sharply. "You've been recording them?" "Yes," I replied. "Audio recordings. Every conversation, every phone call, every visit. Because I knew something like this was coming. I knew Derek was building a case against me, and I needed to protect myself." Officer Daniels stepped forward. "Miss Castellan, recording someone without their knowledge may be—" I interrupted him. "I live in a one-party consent state, officer. I'm legally allowed to record any conversation I'm a part of. I checked with a lawyer. That was true. I'd done my homework." Miss Martinez and Officer Daniels exchanged a look. "May we hear these recordings?" Miss Martinez asked. "Absolutely," I said. I stood up, walked to my bedroom and retrieved a small external hard drive from my desk drawer. I backed up everything, every single recording organized by date, labeled, time-stamped. I returned to the living room, plugged the hard drive into my laptop, and opened the folder. There were over 50 audio files. "Where would you like me to start?" I asked. Miss Martinez thought for a moment. "Let's start with the most recent interactions. Anything from the past month." I scrolled through the files and selected one from 3 weeks ago. "This is a phone call from Derek. He called to tell me I wasn't allowed to see the kids anymore." I pressed play. Derek's voice filled the room. Cold, calculating. "Dorothy, Emma and I have made a decision. We think it's best if you take a break from seeing the kids." My voice shaky, desperate. "A break? For how long?" "Indefinitely. Until we feel like the situation has improved. What situation? Derek, what have I done? It's not about what you've done. It's about what you continue to do. You're overbearing. You're controlling. You're creating anxiety in our household. Miss Martinez listened carefully. I continued the recording, my voice crying, please Derek, please don't do this. Those kids are my world. I'll do anything. I'll change anything. Derek, flat and emotionless. There's nothing to change, Dorothy. This is just how it is. Goodbye. Click. The call ended. Miss Martinez made notes. That doesn't sound threatening on your part. Because I wasn't threatening, I replied. I was begging. Officer Daniels spoke. Do you have recordings of you allegedly making threats or behaving unstably? I have recordings proving I never did any of that, I said. Let me show you. I played another file. This one was from 2 months ago. A visit to their house. Background noise of children playing. My voice. Cheerful. Olivia, sweetie, let's clean up these toys before dinner, okay? Olivia's little voice. Okay, Grandma. Then Derek's voice. Sharp. Dorothy, we've got it. You don't need to parent them. My voice. Apologetic. I'm sorry, Derek. I was just trying to help. Derek. Irritated. That's the problem. You always just try to help. Maybe let us handle our own kids. Silence. Then Emma's voice. Soft, hesitant. Derek. She didn't mean. Derek interrupted. Emma. Don't. We talked about this. More silence. Then my voice. I'll go. I'm sorry. Sounds of me gathering my things. Saying goodbye to the kids. Leaving. Miss Martinez looked troubled. That doesn't sound like you were undermining their parenting. You were helping a child clean up. Exactly, I said. But Derek twisted it. He accused me of overstepping. And Emma said nothing. I played more recordings. In each one the pattern was clear. I was polite, respectful, careful. Derek was hostile, accusatory, manipulative, and Emma was silent, compliant, letting him control the narrative. Then I played the recordings from 4 months ago when Derek first started his campaign against me. One particular conversation stood out. Emma and I were alone in her kitchen. I was folding laundry. Emma said, Mom, Derek thinks you're around too much. Maybe you could come over less. My voice, hurt but understanding. Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you need. I just want to help. Emma. Guilty. I know, Mom. I know you do. But Derek feels like you're taking over. My voice, confused. Taking over. Emma. I follow all your rules. I do exactly what you ask. Emma. Quiet. I know. But Derek feels undermined. He's the father. He wants to feel like he's in charge. And then my voice. Very carefully. Emma. Is Derek controlling? Is he making you feel like you can't make your own decisions? Emma's voice became defensive immediately. No, Mom. He's not controlling. He's just protective of our family. My voice soft. Okay, sweetheart. I just want to make sure you're happy. Emma. Almost robotic. I am happy. We're fine. Everything is fine. Miss Martinez paused the recording herself. Miss Castellan, has your daughter ever indicated that she's in a controlling relationship? I hesitated. Not directly, but listening back to these recordings. I hear it now, the way she defends him immediately, the way she shuts down any questions, the way she's changed over the past year. She used to be confident, independent, now she's small. Officer Daniels spoke up. Ma'am, we're here to investigate the claims against you, not your son-in-law's marriage. I understand, I said, but you asked for evidence. And the evidence shows that Derek has been systematically isolating Emma from me, and using false accusations to justify it. I played more recordings, one from 5 months ago where Derek openly said to Emma, within my earshot, your mother is a problem. The sooner we cut her out, the better. Emma's weak protest. Derek, she's my mother. Derek's firm voice. And I'm your husband. Who do you choose? Another recording from 3 months ago. Derek, on the phone with someone. Probably a friend. Yeah, her mom is still hanging around. Emma won't put her foot down. So I'm going to have to do it myself. I'm thinking restraining order. Maybe CPS involvement. Make it official. The friend's voice muffled. Derek laughing. I know, but it'll work. Once the authorities get involved, Emma won't have a choice. She'll have to side with me. Miss Martinez stopped writing. She looked at me. He planned this. Yes, I said quietly. He's been planning it for months. And I recorded it all. Officer Daniels shifted uncomfortably. Miss Castellan, these recordings paint a very different picture than what was reported to us. That's because Derek lied. I said. He lied to you, he lied to Emma, he's been lying to everyone. I pulled up one more recording. This one was the most damning. It was from 1 week ago after Derek had already cut me off from the kids. I had driven by their house not to go in, just to see if the kids were outside playing. I missed them so much. I parked down the street and just watched for a few minutes. Derek came outside and saw my car. He walked over, aggressive. I rolled down my window. Derek, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to see them. Derek leaned into my window. You need to leave, now, or I'm calling the police. My voice shaking. Please, Derek, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just sitting here. Derek threatening. You're stalking us, Dorothy. That's what this is. Stalking. And when I call CPS, I'm going to tell them you're unstable, that you're obsessed, that you're a danger. My voice shocked. A danger? Derek. I've never hurt anyone. Derek. Cold. Doesn't matter what's true. Matters what I can make them believe. And trust me, they'll believe me. I'm the concerned father. You're the crazy old lady who can't let go. Then he walked away. The recording ended. The room was silent. Miss Martinez closed her file. Officer Daniels rubbed his jaw. Finally Miss Martinez spoke. Miss Castellan, I think we've heard enough. My heart pounded. What does that mean? She looked at me with something like respect. It means this investigation into you is closed. You are not a danger to your grandchildren. You are not mentally unstable. You are not making threats. In fact, based on these recordings, it appears you are the victim of a false report. I felt tears welling up. So I can see my grandchildren. Miss Martinez hesitated. That's a family court matter. We can't dictate custody or visitation. But we will be filing a report stating that the accusations against you were unfounded and potentially malicious. Officer Daniels added. We'll also be forwarding these recordings to the appropriate authorities. Making a false CPS report is a crime. Your son-in-law could face charges. I sat down, overwhelmed. I don't want him arrested. I just want to see my grandchildren. I just want my daughter to be safe. Miss Martinez softened. I understand. But these recordings suggest something more serious than a family dispute. They suggest a pattern of manipulation and control. We have a duty to investigate. She stood up. Miss Castellan, I'm going to recommend that you contact a family law attorney. File for grandparent visitation rights. Use these recordings as evidence. And if you're concerned about your daughter's safety, we can provide resources for domestic abuse support. Domestic abuse, I whispered. But Derek doesn't hit her. I've never seen bruises. Officer Daniels said gently. Abuse isn't always physical, ma'am. Emotional manipulation, isolation, control, those are forms of abuse too. And, from what we've heard, your son-in-law exhibits those behaviors. I nodded slowly, taking it in. Miss Martinez handed me her card. If you need anything, call me. And please, keep those recordings safe. They're important evidence. They left. I sat alone in my living room, stunned. CPS had come to investigate me and instead they'd validated everything I'd felt for months. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't overbearing, I was a grandmother who loved her grandchildren. And a mother who was watching her daughter be manipulated. And now, I had proof. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Her name is Patricia Hale, and she'd helped me with my will a few years back. I explained everything. She listened to the recordings. When I finished, she said, Dorothy, this is one of the clearest cases of parental alienation and emotional abuse I've seen. We need to act quickly. What do? I asked. We file for grandparent visitation rights immediately, Patricia said. In this state, grandparents can petition for court-ordered visitation if it's in the best interest of the children. And with these recordings we can prove that Derek has been maliciously excluding you without cause. We'll also file a restraining order against Derek on your behalf, given his threats. A restraining order against him? I asked, surprised. Yes, Patricia confirmed. He threatened you. He harassed you. He made false reports against you. You have every right to protect yourself. I thought about it. Part of me didn't want to escalate. But another part, the part that had been hurt and silenced for months, said yes. Okay, I agreed. Let's do it. Within 3 days, Patricia had filed the paperwork. Derek and Emma were served with court notices. And that's when my phone exploded. Emma called me 17 times in 1 hour. I didn't answer. Then she started texting. Mom, what are you doing? Mom, please. This is crazy. Mom, you're going to destroy our family. Finally, she left a voicemail. Her voice was frantic, tearful. Mom, Derek is furious. He says you're trying to ruin us. He says you're lying about him. Please, please drop this. Please don't go to court. I'm begging you. I listened to the voicemail 3 times. Then I called her back. She answered immediately. Mom, Emma, I said calmly, I need you to listen to me. Mom, you can't do this. You can't take us to court. Derek didn't do anything wrong. Emma, I said firmly, Derek called CPS and lied about me. He told them I was mentally unstable and dangerous. He tried to get a restraining order against me so I could never see Olivia and Noah again. Emma was silent. Then quietly. He was just protecting the kids. From what? I asked. From me? Your mother who babysat them for years. Who loves them. Who has never ever hurt them. Emma started crying. I don't know, Mom. I don't know anymore. Derek says you're manipulative, that you're trying to turn me against him, that you're trying to take over our family. And do you believe that? I asked. Silence. Emma, answer me. Do you truly honestly believe that I'm trying to hurt you or your children? More silence. Then in a broken whisper, no, I don't. Then why are you letting Derek do this? I asked gently. Why are you letting him push me away? Emma sobbed. Because I don't know how to stop him. Because every time I disagree he gets angry. Because I'm tired. Mom, I'm so tired of fighting. It's easier to just go along with what he wants. My heart broke. Sweetheart, that's not a marriage. That's control. Emma cried harder. I know it is. But I don't know how to leave. I don't know how to fix it. I have 2 kids, Mom. I can't just walk away. You're not alone, I told her. I'm here. I've always been here, and I will fight for you and those kids as long as I have breath in my body. Emma whispered, I'm scared. I know, I said, but fear is what he wants. Fear keeps you trapped. You are stronger than you think, Emma, you always have been. We talked for an hour. She told me things I'd suspected but never confirmed. How Derek controlled the finances. How he decided who she could see and when. How he monitored her phone. How he made her feel guilty for wanting time with her own mother. How he convinced her that she was the problem, that she was ungrateful, that she was lucky he put up with her. By the end of the call, Emma said, Mom, I don't know if I can testify against him in court. I don't know if I'm ready. You don't have to, I assured her. I have the recordings. I have the evidence. You just have to tell the truth when the time comes. Can you do that? She hesitated, then softly, I'll try. 2 weeks later we were in court. Family court. A small plain room, with a judge, a court reporter and our lawyers. Derek sat with his attorney looking smug and confident. Emma sat between us pale and nervous. I sat with Patricia calm. I had the recordings on a laptop, ready to play. Derek's attorney went first. He painted me as an overbearing obsessive grandmother who couldn't accept boundaries. He claimed I harassed his clients, stalked them, and refused to respect their parenting. He presented statements from Derek and Emma claiming I had made their lives difficult. Emma's statement was weak, clearly coached, but it was there. Then it was our turn. Patricia stood up. Your Honor, we have audio recordings that tell a very different story. Recordings that Ms. Castellan legally obtained over the past 6 months. Recordings that prove Mr. Morrison has been systematically alienating Ms. Castellan from her daughter and grandchildren through manipulation, false accusations and threats. Derek's attorney objected. Your Honor, this is hearsay and inadmissible. The judge raised a hand. I'll allow it. This is family court, not criminal court. I want to hear everything. Patricia played the recordings. One by one. Derek's threats. His manipulations. His plan to call CPS. His plan to isolate me. His cruel comments. His control over Emma. The courtroom was silent except for Derek's voice. Cold and calculated, echoing through the speakers. Derek's smug expression faded. He shifted in his seat. He whispered urgently to his attorney. Emma stared at the table, tears streaming down her face. When the recordings finished, the judge looked at Derek. Mr. Morrison, do you deny that these are your words? Derek stammered. Your Honor, Those recordings are taken out of context. I was frustrated. I was trying to protect my family. The judge cut him off. Protect them from what? From a loving grandmother? From your wife's mother? Derek had no answer. The judge turned to Emma. Mrs. Morrison, is what we heard on those recordings accurate? Has your husband been controlling your relationship with your mother? Emma looked up, tears still falling. She glanced at Derek. He stared at her, hard, warning. Then she looked at me, and something shifted in her eyes. Strength, courage. Yes, Your Honor, Emma said, her voice shaking but clear. Yes, it's accurate. Derek he's been controlling. He's isolated me from my mother. He's made me feel like I can't make my own decisions. And I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. She looked at me and I saw my daughter again, not Derek's puppet. My Emma. The judge made his ruling swiftly. Mr. Morrison, making a false report to Child Protective Services is a serious offense. I'm forwarding this case to the district attorney for potential criminal charges. Additionally, I'm granting Ms. Castellan court-ordered visitation with her grandchildren. Every weekend, unsupervised, and I'm ordering you and your wife to attend family counseling separately and together. If you violate this order, you will face contempt charges. Derek exploded. This is insane. You can't do this, I'm the father. The judge banged his gavel. Mr. Morrison, one more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt right now. Sit down. Derek sat fuming. The judge continued. Mrs. Morrison, I strongly encourage you to seek support. There are resources available for individuals in controlling relationships. I'm ordering a social worker to check in with your family monthly for the next 6 months. And that was it. I'd won. Not just visitation, but validation. The system had listened. The recordings had worked. The truth had come out. We left the courtroom. Derek stormed off without a word. Emma stood with me in the hallway. Mom, I'm so sorry for everything. For not believing you. For letting him control me. For hurting you. I hugged her tightly. You have nothing to apologize for. You were manipulated. But you found your voice today. And I'm so proud of you. She cried in my arms. I don't know what happens now. I don't know if I can stay with him. You don't have to decide today, I told her. One step at a time. But whatever you decide, I'm here. Always. She nodded. Can I bring the kids to see you this weekend? I smiled through my own tears. I would love that. That Saturday, Emma brought Olivia and Noah to my house. The moment I saw them, I dropped to my knees and they ran into my arms. Grandma, we missed you. Where were you? I held them tight, breathing them in. I missed you too, my darlings. So much. We spent the day baking cookies, reading stories, playing in the backyard. Emma watched, smiling. Lighter than I'd seen her in months. And when the kids napped, Emma and I sat on the porch. Mom, I'm leaving him, she said quietly. I've already contacted a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce. I took her hand. Are you sure? She nodded. I'm sure. I can't do this anymore. I can't let my kids grow up thinking this is what love looks like. And I can't lose you again. You won't. I promised. You'll never lose me. Over the next few months, Emma moved out. But it wasn't easy. Nothing about leaving Derek was easy. The day she decided to leave, she called me at 2 a.m. I was asleep, but I answered immediately. Mom? Her voice was shaking. I need help. I need to get out. Tonight. I was already getting dressed. I'm coming. Pack what you need. Just the essentials. We'll get everything else later. I drove to her house in the dark, my heart pounding. When I arrived, Emma was standing in the driveway with 2 suitcases and the kids. Still in their pajamas, half asleep. Derek's car was gone. He went to his brother's house, Emma said, her voice hollow. He does that when we fight. He leaves for hours, sometimes the whole night. I knew this was my chance. I loaded the suitcases into my car. Olivia climbed in, rubbing her eyes. Grandma, where are we going? To my house, sweetheart, I said gently. For a sleepover. A long sleepover? She asked. I looked at Emma. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, baby, I said. A long sleepover. We drove back to my house in silence. The kids fell asleep in the back seat. Emma stared out the window. When we arrived, I carried Noah inside while Emma carried Olivia. I tucked them into the guest room bed, the same bed where I used to read them stories before Derek took that away from me. Emma stood in the doorway watching them sleep. I should have done this months ago, she whispered. You did it now, I told her. That's what matters. She turned to me, breaking down completely. Mom, what if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough? What if Derek fights me and I lose the kids? I held her while she sobbed. You are strong enough. You just proved it by walking out that door. And you won't lose the kids. We have the recordings. We have the truth. We have the law on our side. The next morning, Derek called Emma 43 times. She didn't answer. He sent texts. Hundreds of them. At first they were angry. How dare you leave? You're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. Then they turned desperate. Please come home. I'm sorry. I'll change. Then they became threatening again. You'll never survive without me. I'll take the kids. I'll make sure you have nothing. Emma showed me the texts. Her hands were shaking. He's going to destroy me. No, I said firmly. He's going to try. But we're not going to let him. I called Patricia immediately. We filed for an emergency restraining order. Within 24 hours, Derek was legally prohibited from contacting Emma or coming near my house. He violated it twice in the first week. The police were called both times. The second time he was arrested and held overnight. That scared him. He finally understood that Emma wasn't coming back. That's when he hired a lawyer. A nasty one. The kind who specializes in destroying women in divorce court. His name was Richard Steele, and he had a reputation for being ruthless. His strategy was simple. Paint Emma as an unfit mother. Claim she abandoned the marital home. Claim she was being manipulated by me, her controlling mother. Claim the kids were in danger. In the first court hearing for temporary custody, Richard tore into Emma. Mrs. Morrison, isn't it true that you left your husband in the middle of the night without warning? Emma's voice was small. Yes. And you took his children without his consent? They're my children too. But you didn't inform him, did you? You just disappeared. I was afraid, Emma said. Richard pounced. Afraid of what? Your husband has no history of violence. No arrests. No complaints. You were afraid of a man who had done nothing wrong. Patricia stood up. Objection. Your Honor, counsel is mischaracterizing the situation. We have evidence of emotional abuse and manipulation. Richard smiled. Do you have recordings taken by a bitter grandmother who was told to respect boundaries? The judge allowed him to continue. Richard played dirty. He questioned Emma's mental state. He questioned my influence. He suggested that I had poisoned Emma against Derek. He painted Derek as a loving father who was blindsided by his wife's sudden departure. It was brutal. Emma left that hearing shaken. He's good, she said, her voice defeated. He's really good. He's also a liar, I told her, and we're going to prove it. At the next hearing, Patricia brought the recordings. All of them. She played them in court, one after another. Derek's threats, his manipulation, his plans to isolate me, his admission that he would lie to CPS, his cold, calculated voice saying he would make them believe I was unstable. Richard objected repeatedly. Your Honor, these recordings are... The judge cut him off. I'm allowing them. Sit down, counselor. As the recordings played, I watched Derek's face. He went pale. His jaw clenched. He whispered furiously to Richard. But there was nothing they could do. The recordings spoke for themselves. Derek's own words convicted him. When the last recording finished, the courtroom was silent. The judge looked at Derek with disgust. Mr. Morrison, I've heard enough. These recordings clearly show a pattern of manipulation, control, and false accusations. I'm granting Mrs. Morrison temporary full custody of the children. You will have supervised visitation only. Twice a week, 2 hours each at a neutral location. Derek exploded. This is ridiculous. Those recordings are edited. They're taken out of context. The judge banged his gavel. Mr. Morrison, if you continue to disrupt this courtroom, I will hold you in contempt. Derek stood up, his face red with rage. You're all against me. Her mother has poisoned everyone. This is insane. 2 bailiffs moved toward him. The judge's voice was ice. Mr. Morrison, you will sit down now, or you will be removed from this courtroom in handcuffs. Derek sat, breathing hard, glaring at everyone. The judge continued, I'm also ordering a full psychological evaluation for both parties. And Mr. Morrison, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges related to the false CPS report. That's when Derek finally broke. He put his head in his hands. Richard leaned over, whispering to him. But Derek was done. He knew he'd lost. After the hearing, Emma and I walked out together. She was crying, but this time they were tears of relief. I can't believe it's over. It's not over yet, I reminded her. But we won this round. The psychological evaluations took 2 months. During that time, Emma attended therapy 3 times a week. She worked through years of manipulation and control. She learned to recognize the signs of emotional abuse. She learned that what Derek did to her was real, was serious, was wrong. And slowly she began to heal. The kids thrived at my house. They laughed more. They played more. They stopped walking on eggshells. When the psychological evaluations came back, they were damning for Derek. The psychologist noted narcissistic tendencies, controlling behavior, inability to accept responsibility, and concerning lack of empathy. Emma's evaluation praised her strength, her resilience, and her commitment to her children. Derek's lawyer tried to spin it. These evaluations are subjective. But the judge disagreed. At the final custody hearing, the judge awarded Emma primary physical and legal custody. Derek was granted visitation every other weekend, supervised for the first 6 months, then potentially unsupervised if he completed parenting classes and anger management. Derek sat stone-faced as the judge read the ruling. He didn't argue. He didn't explode. He just sat there, defeated. But the criminal charges were still pending. 3 weeks after the custody hearing, Derek appeared in criminal court for filing a false CPS report. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a fine. The prosecutor played the recording where Derek explicitly said he was going to lie to CPS to make them believe I was unstable. The recording where he laughed about it with his friend. Derek's criminal attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal. The prosecutor offered probation, community service, a fine, and mandatory counseling. Derek initially refused. I'm not pleading guilty to anything, but his attorney convinced him, if you go to trial with those recordings, you'll lose, and the judge might give you jail time. Derek pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 2,000 hours of community service, a $5,000 fine, and mandatory anger management and parenting classes. He was also ordered to write a letter of apology to me, to CPS, and to the court for wasting their resources. I never received a genuine apology. The letter was cold, perfunctory, clearly written by his attorney. But I didn't need his apology. I had something better. I had justice. Derek's life fell apart after that. His family, who had always enabled him, finally saw him for what he was. His parents distanced themselves. His brother stopped taking his calls. His friends abandoned him. He lost his job after the criminal conviction became public. His reputation in the community was destroyed. People whispered when they saw him. That's the guy who called CPS on his own mother-in-law. That's the guy who abused his wife. That's the guy who tried to take his kids away from their grandmother. Meanwhile, Emma rebuilt her life. She got a job at a nonprofit, something she'd always wanted to do but Derek had discouraged. She made new friends, real friends who supported her instead of judging her. She started dating again, slowly, carefully, and she found herself. The Emma I remembered, confident, kind, strong. One day, about a year after she'd left Derek, Emma and I were sitting on my porch watching the kids play in the yard. She turned to me. Mom, I need to ask you something. Anything, I said. Why did you start recording? What made you think to do that? I thought about it. Instinct. Experience. I've lived long enough to know when someone is plotting against you. And Derek was plotting. I could feel it. So I protected myself the only way I knew how. With evidence. Emma nodded slowly. I wish I'd seen it earlier. I wish I'd protected myself. You did the best you could with the information you had, I told her. And when you finally saw the truth, you acted. That takes courage. She smiled. Tears in her eyes. I learned that from you. We sat in comfortable silence, watching Olivia push Noah on the swing, and I felt peace. Deep, complete peace. Derek was eventually charged with filing a false CPS report. He pleaded guilty, received probation, and a fine. He was also ordered to attend anger management and parenting classes. His reputation was destroyed. His family distanced themselves, and Emma got primary custody of the kids, with Derek getting supervised visitation. As for me, I got my family back. My daughter, my grandchildren, my peace. And I learned something important. Sometimes the truth needs to be documented. Sometimes you have to protect yourself before you can protect others. And sometimes standing up for yourself is the most loving thing you can do. People ask me now if I regret recording Derek, if I feel guilty for exposing him, and my answer is always the same. No, I don't regret it, because those recordings saved my relationship with my grandchildren. They saved my daughter from years more of manipulation, and they proved that I wasn't the villain he tried to make me. Derek wanted to silence me, to erase me, to make me disappear. Instead, I made sure my voice was heard, loud and clear, and that recording, that evidence, that truth, it changed everything. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone is lying about you, manipulating the narrative, trying to destroy your reputation, document it, record it, gather evidence, because the truth is powerful, and sometimes it's the only weapon you have. Derek called CPS on me, thinking he could control the story, but when that officer arrived, I didn't panic. I didn't defend myself with empty words. I showed him the recording. I showed him the truth, and the truth won. 3 years have passed now. Olivia is 9, Noah is 7, they're thriving. They spend every other weekend with me. We bake, we read, we play, we laugh. Emma is stronger, happier, free. She's dating again carefully, healthily. She's rebuilding her confidence, and me, I'm at peace. But the journey to this peace wasn't smooth. There were hard days. Days when Emma doubted herself. Days when the kids asked why Daddy was so angry. Days when I questioned if I'd done the right thing by exposing Derek. One particular moment stands out. It was about 6 months after the divorce was finalized. Emma and I were having coffee on my porch. The kids were at school. "Mom," Emma said quietly, "do you ever feel guilty?" I looked at her. "About what?" "About the recordings. About exposing Derek. About destroying his life." I set down my coffee cup. "Emma, I didn't destroy his life. He destroyed it himself. I just made sure the truth was known. Do you feel guilty?" She was quiet for a long time, then tears streaming down her face. Sometimes I feel like I should have protected him, like I betrayed him, even though I know he was wrong. I know he hurt me. I know he hurt you, but he's still the father of my children. And sometimes I feel like I ruined their lives by leaving." I took her hand. "Sweetheart, you didn't ruin anything. You saved them. You saved them from growing up in a home where manipulation was normal, where control was disguised as love, where their mother was silenced." "But they ask about him," Emma said. "They ask why we can't all be together. And I don't know what to tell them." "Tell them the truth," I said, in age-appropriate ways. "Tell them that sometimes grown-ups can't live together anymore, that it's not their fault, that both their parents love them, but also teach them to recognize healthy love from unhealthy control. That's the gift you can give them." Emma nodded, wiping her tears. "I'm trying. I'm in therapy. The kids are in therapy. We're all trying to heal. And you are healing," I assured her. "I see it. You're laughing again. You're making decisions without looking over your shoulder. You're becoming yourself again." She squeezed my hand. "Thank you, Mom, for everything, for not giving up on me, for fighting for us, for those recordings." I thought about those recordings a lot in the years that followed. Some people, when they heard the story, said I was wrong to record without Derek knowing. They said it was invasive, unethical, manipulative. But I stood by my decision, because those recordings didn't lie. They didn't exaggerate. They simply captured the truth. Derek's own words. His own admissions. His own threats. Without them, it would have been his word against mine. And who would the court have believed? The respectable father with a clean record, or the overbearing grandmother who couldn't let go? The recordings leveled the playing field. They gave me proof. They gave Emma validation, and they gave the court the evidence they needed to protect my grandchildren. I've been asked many times since then to speak at support groups for grandparents dealing with parental alienation. I've shared my story dozens of times, and every time I give the same advice. Document everything, not because you want to use it against someone, but because you might need to protect yourself. Truth is your best defense. One woman at a support group once asked me, "But doesn't it feel like betrayal, recording your own family?" I understood her question. I'd asked myself the same thing. "It feels like survival," I told her. When someone is systematically trying to erase you from your grandchildren's lives, when they're lying about you, when they're manipulating the people you love, documenting the truth isn't betrayal. It's self-preservation. Derek, for his part, never recovered his reputation. The false CPS report followed him everywhere. Potential employers would Google his name and find the court records. His friends distanced themselves. His new girlfriends, when they found out, would leave. He tried to rebrand himself, tried to claim he was the victim, that I had manipulated the situation, but the recordings didn't lie, and people who listened to them heard the truth. I ran into him once. About 2 years after everything ended, I was at the grocery store, shopping for ingredients to bake with the kids. I turned down an aisle, and there he was. We froze, stared at each other. He looked older, more tired. His eyes held something I'd never seen before. Not anger, not hatred, something closer to shame. "Dorothy," he said quietly. I nodded. "Derek." There was an awkward silence. Then he said, "The kids, are they okay?" It was the first time I'd heard him ask about them without it being performative. "They're wonderful," I said. "They're happy, healthy, thriving." He nodded, his jaw tight. "That's good, that's good." Another silence. Then so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "I'm sorry." I looked at him carefully. Was he? Was he really sorry? Or was he sorry he got caught? Sorry his plan didn't work? Sorry his life fell apart? I'd never know for sure. "Derek," I said finally, "I hope you get the help you need. I hope you learn from this, and I hope you can build a real relationship with your kids someday. But it has to be based on truth, not control." He didn't respond, just nodded and walked away. I stood there for a moment, processing, then I continued my shopping. That brief encounter gave me closure. I didn't know I needed. Not because he apologized, but because I saw that he was living with the consequences of his actions. And that was enough. Derek tried to take everything from me. My grandchildren, my daughter, my dignity, but he failed, because I was prepared. Because I had proof. Because I had proof. Because I refused to be silenced. And in the end, that recording didn't just save me, it saved all of us. So to anyone watching this who's dealing with a toxic family member, a manipulative in-law, or anyone trying to push you out of your loved ones' lives, don't stay quiet. Document everything. Trust your instincts, and when the time comes to defend yourself, do it with evidence, with truth, with strength. That CPS officer came to my door expecting to find an unstable woman. Instead, he found a grandmother who was prepared, who was smart, and who had the receipts. And that made all the difference. Derek thought he could weaponize the system against me, but the system protected me instead, because the truth always comes out. Always. You just have to make sure you're ready to show it. And I was ready. I showed them the recording, and everything changed. Everything.